Okay, so I want to take a new spin on the news show today. We're going to drop the news and we're going to focus on something a little different, maybe a little bit more of an educational video. So if you don't like learning, turn it off now. But if you do, then here's today's topic. We're going to talk about Hammurabi's Code. The Code of Hammurabi is the oldest intact code of law that is known to man today. Hammurabi was the ruler of Babylon from, well, not from 1792 to 1750 BC, but that's how long he lived. It was from 1792 to 1750 BC. Mainly his law was written on this giant obelisk and put on presentation for everyone in Babylon to see if you had the ability to read or write. Because back in 1750 BC, everyone could read and write. His code also influenced the law of the Hebrews, which is why we have that whole idea of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and wound for a wound. The Hebrews got that from Hammurabi's code. Of course, Gandhi believed that an eye for an eye left the whole world blind. Some of the laws in Hammurabi's code were, if anyone steal cattle or sheep or an ass, I'd like to steal me some ass, or a pig or a goat. If it belongs to a god or the court, the thief shall pay 30-fold. If the stolen property belonged to a freedman of the king, he shall pay 10-fold. If the thief has nothing to pay with, he shall be put to death. Another one of his codes was, if anyone steal the minor son of another, he shall be put to death. I mean, if you're wondering why I keep looking over to the right, it's because I'm actually reading off some of my notes from Hammurabi's code so that I can relay this information correctly without seeming like a complete jackass. Another lovely one is, if anyone find a runaway male or female slave in the open country and brings it back to the master, then the master has to pay you 2 silver shekels. But if the slave is found in the house of the person who found the slave, like if you're quartering that slave, then you're put to death. And if you're caught stealing anything, you're put to death. One I actually think that is funny is, if fire breaks out in a house and someone comes to put out the fire and casts his eyes on the property of the owner's house, the one that is burning, and takes that property from the owner, then the person who took the property is also cast into that same fire. How do you steal a burning house from somebody? But ultimately, Hammurabi's code is 282 articles long and follows that same theme. Pretty much anything you do wrong, you were killed for or had to pay a lot of money for. Which sounds a lot like Texas law, doesn't it? The thing is that nobody went against Hammurabi because he believed that he was put to power by the gods, which is that whole concept of the divine right of kings. So you gotta ask yourself this. Do we see any similarities from Hammurabi's code in our own government system here in the US or any other places? I mean, it influenced the law of the Israelites, but did it influence any of ours? I mean, he obviously has a court system in it because there's so many laws talking about presenting your case to judges. There's one law about how if a judge is found to have misjudged a case, that the judge will be removed from the bench and most likely killed as well. Personally, I see some influence from him into our own code. I mean, it was a code of laws that to some degree protected the wealthy and the poor and prevented thefts and, murder and things like that, which is kind of what all laws should do. But is everything punishable by death? I mean, death or brutality of some form or another. Of course, we were a much different mindset back then. I mean, instead of us being focused on science and having integrity, everything was based off of religion, and that's how the world kind of works. So that's Hammurabi's code for you. In a nutshell. I mean, if you ever are interested and want to know more about it, I would suggest you look it up. Go to Google, advanced search, type in Hammurabi's code, and then at the bottom click .edu and pull up all the educational sites on it. I'm sure there's so much more you can learn about it without, other than what I've just summarized. So yeah, take a look at it and have fun with it.